social media has absolutely killed your training. And I'm not talking about following influencers, workouts, splits, all their advice. That's a talk for another time. And that probably is hurting your training if you're doing that. But social media has hurt your training, and it hurt mine in a much, much more worse way and dangerous way. So, back in the day when I first got into lifting, especially bodybuilding, back in high school, I went to a military school for high school. When I was 16, 17 years old, I went to Marine Military Academy down in Harlingen, Texas, and in the afternoons, we had an activity or a sport to choose. And I chose weightlifting. It was something that even back then I loved. And so in the afternoon, after we got done with classes, all of us guys would go to this grungy gym, no air conditioning. We put on boombox and literally just lift hard. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were just in there training hard and having a blast doing it. It was literally some of my favorite training I've had in all my years. During that same time, I also in the evenings would run, and I trained for and ran my first marathon when I was 17 at that same school. But during this time, this is one of the times of my life when I loved training the most out of, all of my training career, So, I've done, obviously been a pro bodybuilder, done hybrid athlete training, ran ultra marathons. And during that time, it was one of the times of my entire life that I love training the absolute most. And this is a conversation I was talking with someone I trained the other day about how now everybody is training rather than just a pure enjoyment of training, their passion for whatever training modality they like. They're training for social media. They're training for external validation, for likes, for attention, to make money online. Now, instead of someone getting into, say, bodybuilding because they first love training, that's their first love. Now they're getting into bodybuilding because they think that's how they're going to quickly make it on social media. Same thing with hybrid athletes. Hybrid athletes, they're getting into lifting and immediately jumping into wanting to do a marathon or ultra marathon because that's what they believe is going to give them attention online. Everyone's becoming copycats of each other. And with, how popular the fitness industry is now, everyone's trying to make it online. And so what it's done is, now you have everybody is just chasing likes and attention online rather than basing their training off of purely what they want to do. And this is a trap I got locked into several years ago, and it took me a while to get out of it. And I'm going to tell you how I got out of it in just a second. But, back when I was in pro bodybuilding, while I love bodybuilding, that's not the only training style I love. I love multiple different training styles, and it kept me so locked in on just that one training style. And part of it was due to me trying to gain that attention online. Now, granted, I don't regret this. I had a blast doing it. I was obviously able to become a pro and reach that goal. But even with that, that's not even that deep of a goal, in my opinion. And it didn't bring any internal validation or happiness. The point is I was basing my training off of other people, exterior validation. That's what so many people are doing now. Everyone in the gym, I'm going to talk about in another video how modern gym culture is absolutely dead. But everybody now is setting up a tripod, becoming clones of each other, filming the exact same content, all trying to make it online. Rather than just going in the gym and just beasting out and enjoying the time. Same thing with runners. You can find this with pretty much any training modality now. Everybody's training for external validation. So what broke me out of this trap is about a year ago, I had a thought to myself on if I had no social media presence, if my business was not tied to my social media, and then I took it a step further. If I was the only person on planet Earth, how would I like to train? How would I set up my training split? This is back when I was really trying to figure out, how I wanted to set up my split now that I no longer had a competitive goal like bodybuilding. And so with that, obviously I'd still love to train every single day because it is something I love, I'm passionate about. But this is where I was able to really, really find out what type of split I wanted to do. And with that, I came up with kind of a funky, unique split that I don't see other people doing. I'm sure there's people that do something similar, but y'all have seen the split I talk about on here. I came up with that because I literally just had kind of a real conversation with myself, and it took a bit of time to do this, a real conversation with myself on if there was no one else on planet Earth, there was no exterior validation, how would I like to train? And that's where I came up with. I would still lift multiple times a week with high intensity bodybuilding, which is kind of power building. That's how I love to train. I would run. I would do stuff like these plate carrier walks. I would have days where I'm doing kind of like strongman or functionality type stuff like y'all see me doing with my garage workouts. But I'd be a much more well-rounded strength endurance athlete than just purely going into the gym and training with bodybuilding like everyone else trains. Let's take a right here, baby. So the point here is social media, just like it's destroyed so much else with our society, social media is killing a lot of people's training. And if you're doing this based off of what you think is going to get the most likes, the most attention online, it's definitely, one, completely taken away your enjoyment. You know, once I started training purely based off of how I wanted to train, not based off of anybody else, attention online, it brought all that complete enjoyment back to my training again. For the last especially 6 months, I've been having a ball training again. And so my whole point here is have a real conversation with yourself on if there was no one else on planet Earth, how would you like to train? Set up your week, build a split like that, around that. And if you do that, guys, I'm telling you, one, you're going to have a lot more enjoyment come back into your training. And B, you're probably going to have way better results because you're going to have so much more enjoyment and passion around your training again. You're not going to be doing this for anybody but yourself. And with that, if you have a goal of, you know, making it online or having a business tied to your fitness, this is going to give you a greater chance of doing that. You know, like I said, everyone right now is clones of each other. The bodybuilding space online is so saturated. Even hybrid athletes saturated. Everyone's doing the same exact thing. If you go ahead and be real with yourself on how you would like to train, you know, maybe that's incorporating some martial arts. Maybe that's doing calisthenics. Maybe that's swimming. Maybe that's rowing. But whatever it is for you, do that. And the more you can be authentically you, other people will gravitate towards that. And, you know, you're going to find people that want to train that same style or at least can gain knowledge from you from doing that. But have a real conversation with yourself on taking social media out of it, taking any external validation out of it, putting your pride and ego aside. How would you want to train? And guys, I'm telling you, this will revolutionize your training, not only with enjoyment, but also results. But this is a little bit of a rant. I hope y'all got something out of it. If you did, please go ahead and smash the like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. All glory to God. God bless y'all. Have a great rest of your day.